Jenny and Sumit came to the last resort to save their marriage. But before therapy even started, one night at a pub exposed the real crack in their relationship. And the scary part is, this fight was not really about alcohol. Jenny did not just say, "Please slow down." She stepped in. She stopped Sumit from taking another drink. She pulled him away from the group. And in that moment, Sumit did not look a little annoyed. He looked furious. Not normal husband annoyed. Not "you embarrassed me in front of people" annoyed. He looked like a man who had been holding something inside for a long time, and that pub night finally gave him the excuse to say it. Then he dropped the line that changed everything. He said he stopped enjoying life. Not, "I'm not enjoying this night." Not, "I'm upset right now." He said life. And when your partner says they stopped enjoying life with you, that is not a small fight anymore. That is not something you fix with one apology, one therapy session, and a castle breakfast the next morning. That is a warning sign. But here is why this situation is complicated. Jenny is not just some random wife trying to ruin his fun. According to her, Sumit has changed since the family café failed. She says he drinks more, parties more, and when he drinks, it is not always harmless. So from her side, she is not stopping one drink. She is trying to stop a pattern. But from Sumit's side, Jenny did not look like a concerned wife. She looked like someone controlling him in front of everyone. And that is where the whole marriage starts to look different. So the real question is not, was Jenny right or wrong? The real question is, did Sumit accidentally say the truth out loud? Because this pub fight was not about one drink. It was about years of pressure, failed independence, family control, financial stress, and a marriage where Jenny feels unsafe while Sumit feels suffocated. And that is why this scene hits so hard. When Jenny and Sumit arrive at the last resort, the show wants us to see this as a new chapter. They are in the UK. They are at this beautiful castle. They are away from India, away from his parents, away from the cramped living situation. And for 1 second it looks like maybe this retreat can give them breathing room. But with Jenny and Sumit, the pressure never really disappears. It just changes location. They can fly to another country, walk into a castle and act excited, but the same problems are still packed in their luggage. Family pressure, money problems, the failed calf. No real independence. Jenny wanting to move out. Sumit feeling controlled. And now, alcohol becoming the thing that brings all of that to the surface. For years, viewers were used to seeing Jenny and Sumit fight outside forces. His parents. His family expectations. The age gap. The culture shock. The question of whether their relationship would ever be accepted. That made people root for them, even when the relationship was messy. They became one of those couples where viewers said, "Okay, this is complicated, but maybe they really do love each other." But the last resort is showing something different. Now the biggest problem is not outside the marriage. It is inside the room. And that is why the pub scene matters so much. On the surface, the event is simple. The couples are invited to a pub for an icebreaker. Sumit wants to relax, drink, and have fun. Jenny gets nervous and tells him not to get too drunk. The night continues, drinks keep coming, and Jenny becomes more uncomfortable. Then she steps in, stops him, and pulls him away. That is the episode event. But the meaning is much deeper. Jenny is not reacting to that one drink. She is reacting to what she believes that drink represents. To her, it represents Sumit losing control. It represents embarrassment. It represents him avoiding their problems. It represents the possibility that therapy is already being ruined before it starts. But to Sumit, that same moment represents something totally different. It represents Jenny treating him like a child. It represents public humiliation. It represents his wife not trusting him to make one adult decision. And when a man already feels controlled, even one warning can sound like an order. That is the real conflict. Jenny thinks she is protecting the marriage. Sumit thinks she is controlling his life. And when both people are living inside two different emotional realities, even a small moment becomes explosive. This is also where the failed calf becomes important. Because that calf was not just a business idea, it was supposed to be a way forward. It was supposed to help them create a separate life, maybe finally move out of his parents' house, and give Jenny the independence she has been asking for. But the calf failed. And when that happened, it did not just hurt their finances. It hurt the hope of escaping the family house. Jenny does not want to live with Sumit's parents forever. That has been very clear. She wants privacy. She wants her own space. She wants to feel like a wife, not like a guest inside somebody else's family system. And honestly, that is understandable. She fought for years to be accepted by his family. But being accepted by the family and living peacefully inside that family's home are two very different things. Acceptance does not automatically give you privacy. Acceptance does not automatically give you freedom. Acceptance does not magically turn a crowded family home into a romantic marriage setup. So when the café fails, Jenny does not just see a closed business. She sees the door to independence closing again. And Sumit, on the other hand, may see the same failure as proof that he cannot make anyone happy. He cannot fully satisfy his parents. He cannot fully satisfy Jenny. He cannot give Jenny the home she wants. He cannot escape the pressure. And then, when he finally gets one night away from all of that, Jenny is still watching him. That is why the drink becomes bigger than a drink. For Sumit, the pub may have felt like a rare chance to feel free. He is away from home, away from his mother, away from the failed calf, away from the daily pressure. He is meeting other cast members. He wants to relax, laugh, and feel like an adult man having a normal night. Then, Jenny steps in and shuts it down. From her side, she is trying to prevent a disaster. From his side, the prison followed him to the pub. That is why his reaction was so intense. It was not just alcohol. It was pride. It was shame. It was frustration. It was years of feeling managed. And then he says, Jenny is like his second mother. That line is brutal, but it is also the key to understanding everything. Because once a husband starts seeing his wife as another mother figure, the marriage dynamic changes. Concern starts sounding like nagging. Boundaries start sounding like control. Love starts feeling like supervision. And the person being supervised does not usually become more mature. They usually become more rebellious. That is the cycle we are watching. Jenny feels unsafe, so she tries to control the situation. Sumit feels controlled, so he pushes back. Sumit pushes back, so Jenny feels even more unsafe. And then both of them keep proving each other's worst fear. Jenny fears Sumit cannot control himself. Sumit fears Jenny will never let him control his own life. That is a dangerous cycle. And yes, the age gap makes the optics worse. Viewers are going to talk about it. Jenny is much older than Sumit, and when she physically stops him from drinking, it is very easy for people to say, she is acting like his mother. That reaction is predictable. But the analysis should not be cruel or lazy. The problem is not simply that Jenny is older. The problem is that the age gap, the living situation, Sumit's actual mother, and Jenny's controlling behavior are all mixing together. So when Jenny shows concern, Sumit does not receive it as concern. He receives it as another older woman telling him what to do. That does not make Jenny evil, but it does explain why Sumit feels trapped. At the same time, Sumit cannot use that as a full excuse. Because if he wants to be treated like an adult, he has to create adult independence. He cannot live under his parents' roof, avoid hard conversations, fail to create a clear plan with Jenny, and then act shocked when people around him start managing him. That is the contradiction with Sumit. He wants freedom, but he has not built independence. He wants respect, but Jenny says his behavior gives her reasons to worry. He wants to be seen as a man, but he is still caught between his mother's house and his wife's frustration. And that is why fans are divided. Some fans feel Jenny was completely justified. They are saying, she knows him better than the cast does. If she has seen him drink too much, fall down, or lose control before, then she has every right to stop him. And that is a fair point. Viewers only see the public scene. A spouse sees the private pattern. Sometimes what looks like an overreaction on camera is actually the final reaction after many private incidents. But many viewers feel Jenny crossed a line. They are saying, he is a grown man. You do not take his drink away and drag him out like a child in front of everybody. And that is also fair. Even if your concern is valid, public humiliation can damage trust. You may think you are saving your partner from embarrassment, but to them, you may be creating the embarrassment. That is why the comment section on this storyline is going to be messy. One side will say, Jenny was protecting him. The other side will say, Jenny proved exactly why he feels controlled. And honestly, both sides have something to work with. Humanity has done it again. Two opposing opinions can both contain pieces of the truth. Very inconvenient for people who only enjoy simple villains. Now let's talk about Sumit's anger, because this was not the usual Sumit energy. Usually, Sumit avoids conflict. He explains, delays, softens, tries to keep peace. Even when he is wrong, he often gives that nervous energy where he wants everyone to understand him but does not want to fully confront the situation. But in this scene, he looked different. He looked bitter. He looked embarrassed. And more than anything, he looked resentful. That matters. When someone who usually avoids confrontation suddenly becomes that direct. You have to ask, how long has this been sitting inside him? Because his words were not random. He did not only say, "You embarrassed me." He said he feels controlled. He said the road always goes Jenny's way. He compared her to his mother. And then he said he stopped enjoying life. Those are not small complaints. Those are identity complaints. He is basically saying, I do not feel like myself in this marriage anymore. That is serious. Now, does that mean Jenny ruined his life? No, let's not turn this into fake drama. Sumit made his own choices. He chose Jenny. He chose this marriage. He fought for it. He hid things in the past, delayed difficult truths, and avoided conflict many times. So, he cannot suddenly act like he had no role in building this life. But sometimes people say the most honest thing in the worst possible way, and that is what this moment feels like. Maybe he has felt controlled for months. Maybe he has felt unhappy for a long time. Maybe the café failure, the family pressure, and Jenny's demands have all been building inside him. But instead of saying it calmly in therapy, he says it after a public fight, after drinking, after being pulled away from the group. Bad timing, very bad timing, but very revealing. Because if he only meant, I was embarrassed tonight, he could have said that. But he said life. And that one word is why viewers cannot let this scene go. Now Jenny's side also deserves real compassion. She is not just nagging because she enjoys power. Jenny is in survival mode. She wants a home. She wants privacy. She wants stability. She wants a husband she can depend on. She has already sacrificed a lot for this relationship. She left her own familiar world, moved into his world, dealt with rejection, waded through family drama, and kept choosing him. So in her mind, she may be thinking, after everything I have gone through, can you please not embarrass us on the first night of therapy? That is a very human feeling. But survival mode can also hurt intimacy. When Jenny feels unsafe, she tries to control the environment. She wants promises. She wants action. She wants Sumit to behave in a way that calms her anxiety. And when he does not, she escalates. The problem is, you cannot build equal partnership with someone you feel you must supervise. If Jenny does not trust Sumit as an adult, the marriage is already in trouble. And if Sumit feels like every concern from Jenny is an attack on his manhood, the marriage is also in trouble. This is where communication completely breaks down. Jenny's real message is not, do not drink. Her real message is, I am scared you are using drinking to escape our problems. Sumit's real message is not, let me party. His real message is, I feel like I have no control over my own life. But neither of them says it clearly at the right time. Jenny speaks through warnings and intervention. Sumit speaks through anger and emotional bombs. And that is how couples end up fighting about the wrong thing. They are not fighting about the drink. They are fighting about whether Sumit can be trusted. They are fighting about whether Jenny feels safe. They are fighting about whether Sumit still feels respected. They are fighting about whether Jenny has become the manager of a life they were supposed to share. And the sad thing is, both of them are trying to protect themselves. Jenny protects herself with control. Sumit protects himself with escape. But control is not safety. It only makes the other person hide or rebel. And escape is not freedom. It only delays the problem until it comes back louder. Now, Jenny's health also changes how viewers are watching this season. Since Jenny's Alzheimer's diagnosis became public, many fans are watching these scenes with a different emotional weight. Some fans feel protective of her. Some viewers are saying it is hard to watch her struggle. Some are focusing on changes in her speech. And some are asking whether this kind of real-life pain should be part of a reality TV storyline at all. That conversation is valid. But we have to be careful. Jenny's health should create compassion, not cheap drama. We can talk about the relationship honestly without turning her diagnosis into a storyline gimmick. This is a real person dealing with something serious. So the point is not to attack her vulnerability. The point is to understand why the stakes are now higher. Because if Jenny needs more support in the future, Sumit's resentment becomes a major concern. That does not mean Sumit is a bad person for feeling overwhelmed. Marriage under illness is hard. Caregiving is hard. Financial stress is hard. Living with family is hard. But if he already feels like life with Jenny is not enjoyable, then viewers are naturally going to ask, can he become the stable partner she needs? That is the uncomfortable question. Can he handle more responsibility if he already feels trapped? Can Jenny become more vulnerable if she does not fully trust him? Can they rebuild an adult-to-adult marriage before the relationship turns even more into caregiver and manager? These are not light questions. This is why the pub fight feels bigger than the pub, and this is also why fan reaction is going to stay divided. Some fans feel Jenny's diagnosis makes Sumit's words sound even more painful. Others will say we should remember the scene was filmed before the full public context of her diagnosis. Both things can be true. The later information changes how viewers feel. But it does not mean everyone in that moment had the same understanding the audience has now. Still, from a future perspective, the issue matters. A marriage facing serious health challenges needs patience, stability, teamwork, and emotional honesty. Jenny and Sumit cannot keep communicating through public blow-ups and private resentment. They cannot keep living in a dynamic where she controls and he rebels. That dynamic may survive one pub night. It will not survive long-term pressure without real change. The deeper pattern is clear. Jenny fights for control when she feels unsafe. Sumit avoids the truth until he explodes. And the family home keeps feeding the problem. The parents' house is not just a location. It is the pressure cooker. Jenny feels trapped there. Sumit feels pulled between wife and mother there. Their failed calf made it harder to escape from there. So unless they make a real independence plan, this same argument will keep coming back in different costumes. Today it is alcohol. Tomorrow it could be money. Then privacy. Then intimacy. Then caregiving. Same problem, new outfit. Reality TV loves a wardrobe change. That is why I do not think the alcohol issue is the final issue. It is a symbol. Jenny is asking, can I trust you? Sumit is asking, can I breathe? And both questions matter. For the rest of the season, I think Sumit may soften. He may apologize for how he said it. He may say he was angry or embarrassed. But I do not think the feeling behind that line will completely disappear. That line came from somewhere. At the same time, Jenny may continue defending her actions because she believes she was preventing something worse. But if she never admits that public control was damaging, then she will miss the point too. They both need accountability. Sumit needs to address why Jenny was so worried in the first place. Jenny needs to address why her method made him feel small. And they both need to stop pretending the living situation is some small side issue. It is not. Their independence problem is sitting underneath everything. The biggest question is not whether Jenny and Sumit love each other. I think they do. Their relationship has survived too much to say there is no love there. But love is not structure. Love does not pay rent. Love does not create privacy. Love does not erase resentment. Love does not automatically make someone ready for caregiving. Love is important, but it is not magic. Sorry to every fairy tale ever printed, but somebody had to say it. Jenny and Sumit fought so hard to be together. For years the question was, can they prove everyone wrong? But now the question has changed. Can they prove to each other that this life still feels worth choosing? Because staying together is not always the same as being happy. Sometimes, people stay together because of love. Sometimes because of history. Sometimes because of loyalty. Sometimes because leaving feels impossible after everything they sacrificed. So the real question is, what kind of staying together are Jenny and Sumit choosing? Are they staying together as partners? Or are they staying together as two people who fought too hard to admit they are exhausted? That is what Sumit's confession forces us to ask. Jenny thought she was stopping a drink. Sumit felt like she was stopping his life. And somewhere between those two realities is the truth of their marriage right now. So no, this marriage is not over because of one pub fight. But that fight showed the crack. It showed that Jenny does not trust Sumit's self-control. It showed that Sumit does not trust Jenny to respect his freedom. And it showed that both of them are carrying the weight of a failed independence plan they still have not solved. That is why this scene matters. It is not about alcohol. It is about control. It is about resentment. It is about family pressure. It is about money. It is about fear. It is about whether love can survive when the dream starts feeling like a burden. Now I want to know what you think. Was Jenny right to stop Sumit because she knows the pattern better than anyone else? Or did that moment prove exactly why Sumit feels controlled in this marriage?